today to demand a vote on common sense gun safety legislation. It has been 26 years since our country has passed any meaningful gun safety legislation. I have only been in the House for a little over 2.5 years, and yet we've had 10 moments of silence to recognize victims of mass shootings during that time. After Fort Hood in April of 2014, when 19 people were shot in a deadly rampage, Republican leaders brought us together for a moment of silence, but no discussion about honoring those lives with our action. In May of 2014, the country came together after a massacre in Santa Barbara, and families looked to our nation's leaders to see what they could do. What did they hear? More silence. In June of 2015, 9 parishioners were murdered by a hate-filled radical who was able to get his gun because of a loophole while they were at a Bible study at the Emmanuel Church in South Carolina. While those lost inspired our country, the members of Congress bowed their heads in silence and did nothing else. Then there was Chattanooga, Roseburg, Colorado Springs, San Bernardino, dozens murdered in senseless killing sprees. And while the country demanded a vote to finally do something about gun violence, this Congress responded with silence. 3 months ago, after the worst gun massacre in modern history took place at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, some of us had finally had enough. If our friends in the LGBT community have taught us anything, it's that silence equals death. And this is no time to be silent. Our frustration and the frustration of the American people resulted in a sit-in that gave voice to the American families who are fed up with a Congress who is cowed into silence by the rich and powerful gun lobby. Here we are, 3 months later, and House Republicans have spent more time thinking about how they can punish us for that sit-in than doing anything to address the gun violence devastating Americans. In July, rather than allow debate and votes on keeping American children and families safe, Republican leaders adjourned this House. Since then, an additional 2,015 Americans were killed by guns. In Chicago alone, 3,000 people have been killed or injured by guns just this year. This is a public health crisis, and this Republican Congress has returned to its routine silence instead of working to keep Americans safe. I'm here to tell you the American people will not forget and will not continue to stand for this silence and inaction. Every single day, victims and survivors of gun violence come and tell their heart-wrenching stories to members of Congress. I have stood with Felicia Sanders as she gathered the courage to stand in front of our nation's Capitol and tell the story that no mother should have to tell. At Emmanuel Church in North Carolina, Felicia's son, Tywanza, ran towards the gunman trying to shield others in his Bible study group. Tywanza was only 26 when Felicia said her final goodbye. I have had the honor of thanking Catherine Bodine for coming and telling her story to the American people. Her abuser, who had prior felony convictions, found a loophole, purchased a gun online, no background check, no waiting period, nothing. Catherine was shot 3 times trying to protect her 10-year-old daughter. Her daughter, Sammy, the girl she called her best friend and her inspiration, died in her arms. These mothers and thousands more like them get up every single morning and summon the bravery to be beacons for change this country is asking for. Although their lives are forever changed by violence, they take it upon themselves to fight for their communities, tell their stories, and make sure that no other family has to experience this horror. My question, Mr. Speaker, is this: if everyday people, moms like Felicia and Catherine, can find the courage to fight for change, why is their courage met with the cowardice of silence? Let's have a vote, have the debate to honor the lives that they've lost and that we have lost as a country. And let's end this stony, callous